No texts or emails from your boss after hours, meeting-free Fridays, and an app that kicks you out of chats. Some companies and governments, such as Spain, Portugal, and France, want employees to unplug from work.
I don't feel bad or I don't have the urge of responding if I'm enjoying my social life, if I'm with my family or friends.
The pandemic thrust the issue of disconnecting from work under a new light as millions across the globe began working from home. In one poll conducted by software company Buffer, nearly one-third of respondents said unplugging from their duties after hours was the hardest adjustment.
One implication is clear from ongoing research. People need time to disconnect.
Amid a wave of resignations in the US, with as many as 4.4 million people leaving jobs in September, companies are looking for solutions in order to retain their workers. Goldman Sachs said it would enforce limits on working hours after some employees complained they were working 95 hours per week, while this San Francisco startup is testing digital tools to make workers disconnect.
We'd rather solve those problems and understand them. And the only way that we see to do that is to start experimenting.
To find out what these business policies do for company productivity and employee retention, we look to Europe, where legislation to give workers the right to disconnect has been implemented in several countries.
I think the employees are more active, more proactive, and more productive.
Although technology helped employees stay connected during the pandemic, for many it also blurred the lines between work life and home life.
If you have work on your mind, you can't really be present in both places at the same time.
That's Leo Babelkin, a professor at Lehigh University who has researched the impact of receiving emails from work out of hours on employee well-being.
It not only hurts the non-work life, but it also might impede your productivity as well, because you're not really thinking about work either. You're not fully present for work.
But companies that tell workers to disconnect face a number of risks. Belkin's research argues that if disconnection policies are not implemented correctly, they could actually end up having negative effects on mental health.
Yes, workers have to have a right to disconnect. However, there are certain jobs that prohibiting people to check email actually might increase anxiety, right? Because you would be thinking, what's going on? What if there is an emergency or something else is happening?
In Europe, where Portugal's parliament recently announced labor laws to give workers the right not to be contacted after hours, companies have had mixed reactions. While some have complained that such rules can hurt flexibility, others have embraced them. This is the Spanish branch of global insurer AXA, which introduced disconnection policies in a collective bargaining agreement as the right to disconnect became law in France and Spain in 2017 and 2018. The Spanish law calls on employers to set up internal policies that define how employees exercise their right to disconnect. But how does that work in practice?
We had room for improvement. So that's why we took the decision to promote it even more. To improve some behaviors, to improve some habits that are present in the Spanish culture. Maybe in the past we tend to have meetings later in the evening.
We visited Nuria, an employee who is mostly working from home. Her job is to provide training to managers and workers, and she is required by company policy to finish her meetings by 6 p.m. At the end of her working day, Nuria uses an app to log how many hours she's worked.
So whenever I finish my working day, what I usually do is get in my phone, log into an app called Tempo Mobile, press the salida, which is exit, and I just go out to enjoy my day.
After that, she says she uses her time to catch up with friends, like her colleague Alberto.
Y saber que las cosas urgentes muchas veces pueden esperar, ¿no? No tenemos la necesidad de responder, de reaccionar a mensajes, porque bueno, yo por lo menos no tengo un móvil de empresa, tampoco lo veo, ni me suelo conectar fuera de horario laboral.
According to the company's internal surveys, employee loyalty and satisfaction at AXA has improved significantly.
Digital disconnections produce more efficiency, productivity, and good relationships.
It's hard to determine exactly how these policies have influenced business performance. Overall, AXA's parent company had a challenging year in 2020 with shrinking sales during the pandemic. Legislation that requires companies to refrain from contacting employees after hours has not been enacted in the U.S.
In the United States, the culture is so much work-oriented. I think it would be a very tough battle to pass any laws in the United States like that.
State lawmakers in New York City proposed a right to disconnect bill in 2018. However, it was opposed strongly by business leaders during a public hearing in 2019.
We do not support the right to disconnect bill due to concerns that this would negatively impact our member businesses, particularly those that are small businesses.
It's unwise to use New York City as a testing ground for such a novel approach.
Some U.S. businesses have considered introducing their own rules to help workers to unplug. Loom, a tech startup developing a video communication platform, has more than 170 employees.
People are working at Loom all around the world.
Its co-founder says to help employees in different time zones not to work after hours, the startup created a program that can disconnect people from group chats in the communication platform Slack.
And it's a really simple thing. It just automates it automates the flow of kicking out of channels.
There's no hard data yet, but Loom says it is evaluating the impact of the policies, which are meant to help attract and retain talent during a period of economic growth.
Employees in tech have more optionality than they've ever had before. Keeping your employees happy and engaged in this hiring market in technology where people can work anywhere and from anywhere and workers in tech are more in demand than ever is just like good for business.